Hello! Today we are going to go and take a school in the proving grounds. After all, the grounds are looking kind of low on the heroes, so what better to help people dungeon crawl than start our own school? So we're going to be joining the Valthirian Arc Hero School story today. So this game is... how to put it? When I first saw this game, I thought it would be really interesting, and it's... like, the idea is still very potentially good, but it feels very budgety. So, you play as a principal going to a school of students of dungeon crawling, basically. So you manage the students, the classrooms, and the potential places that would unlock the types of classes. Now, when you go on missions with the students, you have two types of missions. Ones where you control the students and ones where you don't. The errands where you don't, you just send them, like... if you ever played like Final Fantasy Tactics, the little errand where you just send them on their own and hope the hell they make it. But the normal quests where you go into the field, kill monsters and fight, or where the meat and bones of the game will take place, which is one of the things that disappointed me a little with the title, since a lot of the title kind of really makes it seem like it was going to focus more on simulating the school and building it. While you do that, you build classrooms and that give potential bonuses, damage, experience, ability to learn other job classes, and a few other perks that help you out in the field. It is very minimalistic, and you can pretty much just focus on what you potentially want the bonuses to be. Do you want to level up faster? Build up more classrooms for more experience. Want to get more damage in that? You can do that too. Now, you do get mostly the type of classes you would expect. Tanks, a mage, a healer. But there are a few other classes that do a few extra things. And on top of that, you have a quote-unquote tactical mode where you can go aggressive, defensive, or focus. Focus does speed. Aggressive increases your attack but lowers your defense, while defensive increases your defense and lowers your attack. Usually, a lot of higher level missions, you're likely going to go very defensive in a lot of them, because a lot of the higher level stuff gets really fucking beating your face in, like, really hard. So, you'll get warriors, mages, healers, a few wacky side classes and shit that all have a special ability on top of spamming X over and over. On top of that, certain classes also get a few abilities that trigger while spamming the X button on top of their special move that you can trigger. Like with tanks, they have taunt abilities. Some classes have like buffs that can happen, get triggered, healing. It's nothing too particularly special, and like I said, you get sent on missions of 4 party members, and you can switch between the 4 party members depending on the strat you need. You'll want to control, whether if you need to control the mob through taunting more, or you need to focus more on healing, you can take control of that role. You can also tell units to hold if you want someone to stand back. But besides that, there's not really much else. Like the range classes, you know, they get a little range, but it doesn't go too much further. So, also classes do heal MP and HP just standing around. They regenerate slowly. So, in certain tough missions, you can potentially just wait around, let everyone recover before engaging the next part of a mission. Because some of the later missions can be really fucking bad if you didn't grind a particular party up. And as you build up the school, you will be able to have multiple parties of students that you can ways to do different tasks or accomplish errands while you have a main party. You can do it a few different ways, but overall, it's just a cycle of getting out there, getting missions done, coming back with money and resources to make more equipment. You can make 1 weapon, 2 accessories to equip on all your characters. They are class-based, so depending on the class, obviously certain things will not be compatible with certain people. And there is, at times, a few things at the school to also keep track of. Sometimes there's a traveling merchant that will sell blueprints for newer items. You can also get resources you need from said character, but most resources you can really find on the field, so I never found much need to really buy resources. Usually I would just keep track of any interesting blueprints once in a while. Ooh, excuse me. But you can find accessories and weapons out in the wild too, so you don't necessarily have to make a lot of stuff. But outside that, you can get some events during the school academy while you let time pass. Time passes very slowly while you're at the academy, but it does pass. And as time passes, whether doing missions or whether you're letting it pass at the academy itself while you trigger little scenes that give you gratitude and money, you can eventually get to the end of the year, which will cause the graduation ceremony. Now, the graduation ceremony is how you basically cycle through characters. Depending on how developed your school is, there's a certain amount of students you can have at a time, and when you achieve your max, well, you achieved your max. Now, the good thing about graduating is, essentially what graduating is, it's kind of... You ever play like a dungeon crawl with like a reincarnation system where like you get a character super high and you basically reincarnate them back to level 1, but they have like, they either have all those stats or they have a like 50% of those stats from their max level applied to level 1, thus meaning if you got them maxed out again they would actually be even stronger. Well, that's kind of the system that graduating is. So when you send a person to go graduate, there's a chance their family members will come to your school, which gives them slight bonuses, thus making them a higher leveling character. They also get to reach higher max levels as well, and this is how you achieve higher levels, because some students that are related to graduating students will usually be capable of leveling up higher. So, that's potentially how you reach new heights in your academy life as the principal. But, really, while it looks interesting, like, the concept of running a academy school and a dungeon crawling thing is a very interesting idea. The dungeon crawling is just basically a smashing up game, you know, you just run through, beat enemies up. There's not a lot of strategy. Have a healer, have a tank, and then you can have some other damage dealers. It's very rare that you need a big plan. Story-wise in the game, there is a story, and it's essentially the queen has passed away, and there are several other queens in the area that are interested in taking over, while the original queen's daughter is also missing. You can pursue helping out all the queens and the individual queen, or helping seek out the daughter of the deceased queen, and cause a few different endings, but overall it still achieves the same antagonist issue comes up, but who takes the throne can be changed depending on who you help as you build up your academy and do missions for them. I did the ending that made everyone be peaceful with each other, that ended in the results of all the queens siding with each other instead of having one individual queen take over. So that is the route that my storyline went through. And I went through, I think, about 10 years of the game before I beated the story mode. I didn't finish every single quest. I did get almost every trophy in the game. The trophies are mostly progressional with a few slight other touches. But if you're a trophy hunter, you can get a decent amount of trophies out of the game. But overall, this title, last week we talked about a title called Devious Dungeon that I basically said was a big time waster And even as a time waster, I kind of considered it a pretty meh game. Now, this game is available on PS4, PC, and the Nintendo Switch, and I would also call it a time waster type game. And I think it would be perfect for the Switch. Now, I played the PS4 version, that is what you're seeing. So I can't necessarily speak if the Switch version works properly. But if the Switch version does work properly, I haven't heard anything potentially, but to be fair, not a lot of people have talked about this game before. But if it works decently on the Switch, I think it would be a fantastic buy for time wasting. If you need something for a car ride, for a break, for a little trip on a train, I think this is a good game because you can take a mission, kill a bunch of mobs, get some money and stuff, and walk around with your academy a little, get a few students put in. You can even customize the school just a little, not anything too fancy. Put a few benches, lampposts, interesting statues that can give a few buffs. You can do a few different things, not too insanely crazy, but little minuscule tasks that are good for time wasting. So in that sense, and your school can eventually get to 3 floors, so you'll be able to pick a variety of classes and things. And what's also good is students can actually get experience running around the school too. So even if you're not going out on missions, the students actually level up a little in the classes, mainly the low level ones. Obviously the higher level ones would be a very slow process, but it's a way that lower level ones sometimes will progress. It's like I said at the beginning, overall the title had interesting ideas, and I don't think it quite panned out well. I mean, it has a anime cartoony look to it, and I believe the developers are Western. This was a Kickstarter game, I know that for sure. I didn't know it when I played through it though. I found that out after the credits because it did a big Kickstarter credit sequence. But and there were a few bugs I ran into. There's a weird naming bug I ran into that gave them like a weird multi-letter number name before. There's also been a few missions that were buggy. Like one time in a mission where I had to fight like a giant holy dragon thing, I had a party member get stuck behind a wall that collapsed. So one of my party members for the rest of that mission was locked behind a wall, and I don't know, like it happened like half the times that we started the mission. That was one of the really hard missions that kept giving me trouble. And it would happen like half the time. So it's also not a perfectly polished game, but aside from a few bugs and a few tedious in-game missions, overall that's what it is at the end of the day. Like I said, it's a game I would recommend if you want something that you could take a short burst, do a few things, and put away. I think in that regard it would be perfect for the Switch, and a much better choice than Devious Dungeon, because at least there's a lot more do, and it was a more interesting idea, because seriously, Devious Dungeon is like the most generic, boring, basic thing I've ever seen in ages, man. I mean, at least this was trying something interesting. Like I said, I'd rather pat a game on the back for trying out interesting ideas than, you know, necessarily just shoot it down for, because it's not a perfect game, but it at least tried something different, and a lot of companies don't do that. And being a Kickstarter game too, I would love to see them take the concept of the game. Now, originally they apparently had a few like little flash games they did that are actually called Valthirian Arc as well, I believe. But I would love to see them take what they did in this game and go another level up. I would love to see the school end get a lot, like, I would like the school end to get a lot more work done to it. If you're going to stick to like a very gauntlet top-down view with very little interesting combat, I would love to see the school get a lot more work. But I would at the same time love to see the combat evolve to get a little bit more than a just, generic smash X and then sometimes hit the special button once in a while depending what characters you have. Overall, it's not a terrible game. It functions, it has a few bugs, but it's not super expensive. I believe it was originally $29.99 physically when it launched, and on digital stores it goes for $14.99. Now, the physical version has dropped down to about $15 range for the PS4. However, the Switch version, from what I'm looking here on Amazon, is $30, $29.99. So, if you're wanting to get on the suggested system to take advantage of the portability, well, you're gonna either have to wait for a cheaper discount or bite the bullet on the price. I would wait for for a $15 game, I'd say it's a decent, okay experience. It's, again, a time waster type game. It's not something to sit down and get all, deep meaning and interesting story in that. It is just what it is, as I said. But I definitely would recommend it way more than Devious Dungeon. Way more. Price-wise, I wouldn't pay more than $20, honestly. $30 for the Switch version is always pricey, and that's only hoping it's not even a buggy experience. Because like I said, I haven't heard anyone talk about the Switch version at all. And especially since this ain't on the Vita, that's your only handheld option, sadly. Which is a bit of a shame, because I think it would do good on the Vita as well. I mean, it's not a very graphical-esque game. It's pretty simplistic looking. But, matami, that be what it is. But I would not go over $20, so I would definitely wait for a more reasonable price for the Switch version if you're going to go that route. But the PlayStation 4 version's always pretty cheap. I'm sure you could even get cheaper. I just did a quick look on Amazon. I didn't go too in depth. I'm sure GameStop probably has it for lower. I mean, this has been out for a while, so it's not exactly a brand new spanking game out there. But those are all my thoughts on this little school sim game that meets dungeon crawling with school. Interesting idea that didn't necessarily get all the ideas padded out, planned out well, but I would love them to take the concept and go further with it. I like the idea, though. I like the idea, so hopefully they will try another attempt at it. I would just love to see more customization, a lot more interesting strategical things with classrooms. Because, I mean, for the most part, they don't really matter too much. You could just spam a bunch of experience and a few buffs on attack and defense and things. It's not like a giant... I mean, there's not... How to put it? There's not a lot of choices. You know, you can build about one of almost everything. So, there's no like, do I need to get this or should I focus on these? It's just, there's not a lot of big needs to choose between anything. So, But anyway, those are my thoughts on the game. And if you want to avoid spoilers, because we'll talk a little about the end here, this is where we'll have to part ways. So for the ending, what happens antagonizing-wise? I mean, you get all kinds of villager problems and monster attacks and blah blah blah, and all the generic stereo things you can think of in an RPG. But essentially what starts becoming a problem is a foreign country starts eyeing the nice new land that has no queen and thinks it's a perfect time to invade. And, well, they do. They invade your academy, burning it to the ground. Now, what's interesting about this mission as opposed to every other mission is all your current class students will actually participate in this fight. Now, all the other ones, the party you don't pick, All the other ones will be just running around AI control, and to be honest, half of them are going to be really stupid. But your main party that you'll have control will engage frontally, as the others will assist you in the fight. You kill him, everyone's like, oh deal, because one of the other killers was actually his son. He didn't want to have anything to do with it, but now that his father's dead, his kingdom doesn't have a king, and there's concerns of it going into insanity of people fighting for power over there, so he has to ascend the throne for peace and shit. So, not really a groundbreaking end, but it does have a conclusion to it. Again, like I said, I would like to see it continue, obviously in an improving manner, but those are my thoughts. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will get with you. And if you feel like you've learned anything interesting in this video, please feel free to leave a like, and if you think it taught nothing, feel free to leave a dislike. Feel free. Until next time, thank you for joining.
どうだった？私の作った朝